confusing. Okay, Numbers chapter
I wouldn't
16.
mind having her as a family member.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
All right, well, we left off, basically God told them, since you don't want to believe me, and since you despise the land, you're not going. You don't get in the land. Your children will get in there, but as for you, you're going to wander around 40 years in the wilderness. 1 year for every day that you spied the land and saw how good it was and whatever. For every day, you're going to spend a year in the wilderness.
Now, did that include the children that were already born?
Yes. Now, the children, I think it's up to like the age of like 21 is what they still consider children.
Okay.
Because they basically didn't have any rights.
Right, they followed their
They followed what the parents. So from that age
And
under.
anybody else born. Okay, gotcha.
That age under, and then anybody else born after that was allowed to enter it.
So how did we get from that to when they're in the womb, they have rights and parents have none?
Well, it's not that they don't have
I
rights,
know,
but
that-
they
no,
don't.
I mean, that's the-
They don't
I
get
know.
to make a
I'm
decision.
just being sarcastic.
You know,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
they don't get to
That's
make
the
a
current law,
decision.
is what she's talking about.
Yeah, in the Hebrew law, basically you came of age at 21. You know, so basically.
Where they make their own adult decisions.
Yeah, where
right?
they were considered an adult at that point, and they could have their
And
own.
they chose not to follow.
Which
the
is
Lord.
funny because if you look at it, most of them got married really young.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
they
They
were,
were arranged marriages.
but they
most of
were
the time.
arranged
Right.
marriages,
And
so
so those were
it's
decisions
like,
by the parents.
yeah, it was still a decision by the parent. So
That's so weird.
they were saved, you know, just like children who are under the age of understanding are saved if they die. You know, they're saved to go to heaven because they are safe in the arms of Jesus because they didn't have a chance to believe because they weren't old enough to believe. Okay, so it's similar to that. But thank you, Taylor, for asking that. That's a good question. So yes, those children were safe. But as for these adults who said, "Oh, there's just no way we can do it," God says, "Okay, fine, don't." So basically, He told them to go back towards the Red Sea. I'm sorry, the justice, you know, it's like, really. So that's where they're heading. They're heading back the way they came. But you know these people, they're not going to go without a fight. And if you recall, last week we talked about how some of them said, "Oh, well, we're here. We're already here. We might as well just go ahead and go,"
Yeah.
you know.
You didn't say that before when you said let's go back to Egypt.
Exactly. So, but they tried anyway, and Moses told them, "Don't do it. You'll get killed." And they tried, and they got killed. So they're minus some people at this point because of their own fault, and they're heading back. And that's where chapter 16 picks up. Troublemaker city. Again. Now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi. Okay, so Korah is a Levite. And Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, sons of Reuben, took men, and they rose up before Moses with certain of the children of Israel, 250 princes of the assembly, famous in the congregation, men of renown. Touch them.
Yeah.
And they gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron, and said unto them, catch this, y'all, ye take too much upon you, seeing all the congregation are holy, every one of them. And the Lord is among them. Wherefore then lift ye up yourselves above the congregation of the Lord.
Oh, wow. Pride.
Wow! Really?
Dangerous.
This happened before, did it not?
Oh, yeah.
You remember Aaron and Miriam going up to Moses and saying, why can't we be in charge like you are? Do you remember what happened?
How dare
She
you
went
attack my
leprous.
anointing?
Yeah, she went leprous. God made her have leprosy for 7 days. And he was gonna kill her with it. The people saw that. Remember, she had to be put out of the camp, and it said they made a big deal about it, and the people mourned for her. They saw what happened when people rose up against God's anointed. And yet here they are doing it again.
All the elites.
All the elites. And that's, if you go back to it, that's where it starts, right there. They were men of renown, famous in the congregation. Touch me, I'm special.
They got a little credit, and they're like, oh,
Oh yeah,
why do I have to answer to Moses?
touch me, I'm special. And I'm sorry, we got a lot of that going on today.
All the politics.
And hey, we got it going on in churches.
Oh, yes, that's true.
We've got it going on in church. I
There's a
am
few
such and
TV
such a
preachers.
preacher. Haven't you heard of me? I preach this sermon and I preach that sermon, or I'm such and such a singer. Haven't you heard of me? You know, I'm somebody. Well, you know what? In the eyes of God, we're all somebody. But not like that.
No.
Not like that. When we start thinking we're somebody, then. But these were men of renown. They were famous. So they got here with Korah, and notice it starts with these men, Korah and Dathan and Abiram and on. It's kind of like they started this little coup. You know, it's really not fair that Moses is getting all the attention. You know, it's not really
complaining,
fair
the
that
murmuring.
the complaining and murmuring, and they started in their little group, and now there's 250 of them that have gathered together and say, yeah, you're right, it's not fair.
Negative builds on negative.
I wonder if the first person that started murmuring actually realized, like, after everyone was punished, you know, he's like, I did this.
I did this.
Oh, and
I
proud of
started
it.
this.
Yeah.
And proud of it because that's what
Probably.
his goal was.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We don't realize how
Dividers.
much this stuff spreads. I mean, it
Yeah.
does. It spreads. And like I said, at this point, he thinks he's somebody. Now, he was a Levite, and the Levites were set apart as the priest and the keepers of the tabernacle and everything. So he was somebody. He was somebody special. They had a special place. The Bible tells about as they split up the land that the Levites didn't get a piece of the land. And it's like, well, that's not fair. And God said, I am your inheritance. You get me. Wow. Forget the land. I
Right.
want that.
Yeah.
So this is who we're talking about. He had nothing to complain about. He was important. He was famous. He should have been satisfied with that. And I say he because Korah is the main character here, but Dathan and Abiram. And it mentions On here in this first verse, but
What
that's the
name?
last On. Yeah. O-N. On. That's the last time we hear of him.
Oh, is it?
So it almost looks like somewhere along the line, he's like, you know what? I don't want to be any part of this.
Huh.
Because he just disappears off the scene. When we get into the rest of it, these other three are named and they're named and they're named. This guy just kind of, it's almost like he just said,
Nah, I'm good.
maybe he remembered what happened to Miriam, or maybe he just got sense come to him. Maybe Moses looked at him. I don't
Maybe he
know.
was convicted and he's like,
Maybe
oh.
he just got convicted, but here they are gathering themselves against Moses and against Aaron and saying, you take too much authority. You think too much of yourselves. Who's thinking too much of themselves?
Moses is like the most humble of them all.
And Moses is the most humble of them all. So verse 4 says, and when Moses heard it, he fell upon his face. He knows what happens when people go up, but he's seen it. And he's like, here we go again. And he
How many
fell
times
on
do I
his
have to
face.
protect these people?
Yeah, he fell on his face, not because he was ashamed or embarrassed or upset because they were going against him, but he was upset because he's like,
Probably
how
cared
many,
about him even after
yeah,
that.
how many times have I had to stop God from killing you? And now you keep provoking him. You're asking for it. So he, in verse 5, he, Moses, spake unto Korah and to all his company, saying, all right, I like this. Moses has had enough, y'all.
Go for it.
Even tomorrow the Lord will show you who are his and who is holy, and will cause him to come near unto him. Even him whom he hath chosen he will cause to come near unto him. This do, take your censers, Korah, and all his company, and put fire therein, and put incense in them before the Lord tomorrow. And it shall be that the man whom the Lord doth choose, he shall be holy. Ye take too much upon you, ye sons of Levi.
Amen.
Whoa, go Moses.
Yep.
He says, you're taking too much upon you.
And
You think too much of you.
Yeah, and I'm gonna let the Lord take care of this, and y'all deal with what He has to say.
He said, we're gonna let the Lord sort this out. You know what? That's always the best way to do it.
Oh yeah.
We go in, part of the swinging, you know, I did that, and I thought of the Carolyn line, put them up, you know. That's what you're thinking.
I've been watching Wizard of Oz.
That's
every day
how
for the
we
past
go.
month.
We go and put them up, and all the while God's saying, vengeance is mine. I will repay, thus saith the Lord. I will. Just leave it in my hand. And you know what? God's vengeance is so much better than ours. I mean, we may think it's like, you know, oh, that was good. What I did, I got him back so good. But God's like, oh, but you didn't see what I was going to do. And you'll see God's vengeance is good. It is good. And Moses says, you know what? The Lord sort this out. He'll let you know who is his and who is holy. So what we're going to do, you bring your little censers with incense, because, you know, the priests could offer the incense to God, and God would accept whom he wanted to accept and not accept who he said, all of you, all 250 of you. You bring your incense, and you bring your oil, and you bring your censer and whatever, and you bring it out, and we'll have a little showdown tomorrow. And the Lord will show you who's who. Okay. Verse 8 says, and Moses said unto Korah, hear, I pray you. He's pleading with them, not because Moses is afraid he's going to lose his position. He's afraid of what's going to happen to Korah. Why he cares about these men after all they've done, I can't fathom. But he does. He says, hear, I pray ye, sons of Levi, seemeth it but a small thing unto you, that the God of Israel hath separated you from the congregation of Israel, to bring you near to himself, to do the service of the tabernacle of the Lord, and to stand before the congregation to minister unto them? He hath brought thee near to him, and all thy brethren, the sons of Levi, with thee. Seek ye the priesthood also? He's like, is it a small thing that God's already given you himself? Is it so little and insignificant to you that he set you apart to be a Levite, to be a priest, to work in the tabernacle, to do service, to be near him all the time? Because not everybody could go in the tabernacle and do that. This was a special place, a special honor, and God has given you that, and you're saying, it's not enough, I want more.
And you died if you went to the tabernacle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you weren't qualified to be in there, if that wasn't your place, you didn't go in, because you'd get carried out or dragged out, you know.
Yeah.
And even sometimes those who were allowed to, if they didn't do everything just the right way, they got dragged out too. Yeah.
God killed them.
Yeah, I mean, there were rules. But it was also an honor and a privilege, and they got to be closer to God in that respect, physically, than anybody else. And he says, is that such a little thing to you that you just shrug it off and say, well, I want Aaron's place, and I want Moses' place, and I want...
Take care of your own job.
Yeah. You know what? I think our world would be a lot better place if people would take care of their own job instead of trying to do everybody else's.
Or putting their nose in everybody
Or putting
else's.
their nose in everybody else's, or trying to be everybody else. Well, I
Yeah,
want this and
that's
I
better.
want that. Well, God has given all of us a certain thing to do. You know, we can't all be, I was going to say, we can't all be preachers. Well, technically.
You preaching it, girl. Do it.
Technically, we are all preachers. To preach means to proclaim. But we can't all be pastors. That's, But we can't all be teachers. We can't all be this. We can't all, there is a certain thing that God has given each of us to do, or certain things, certain places he wants us to be, certain tasks he wants us to do. And if we're not busy doing our own thing, because we're busy looking at what Susie Joe over here is doing, well, if she's busy doing her job and we're busy watching her do her job, well, who's doing our job?
Right.
It's not getting done. It's not getting done. Korah had this problem. He had a chance to serve the God in such an awesome way, but he was too busy looking at what he didn't have. But I want this, but I want that job, but I want... God says, it's not about what you want. It's about what I've called you to do. Okay? So Moses is saying, okay, I don't get it. I don't get it. And he continues in verse 11, he says, for which cause both thou and thy company are gathered together against the Lord, and what is Aaron that ye murmur against him? What Aaron do?
And what is he doing that they think they should be doing?
Yeah. And I told Jason, I told him, I said, studying, or I said, I'm teaching about Korah this morning. I said, here's what I don't get about Korah. I said, basically, he wanted Moses' job. I said, why would anybody want Moses' job? Why would anybody want that job? I read through this and I'm going, poor Moses. Poor Moses. I don't want that job.
Yeah.
But Jason's answer was very, very true. He said, some people will take power in whatever form it comes.
Oh, exactly.
They
Yeah.
don't care.
And they think it's so elite.
Yeah. And they don't see what Moses has really been through.
Right.
They see the glory of the job. They don't see the hard work of the job.
Right.
Well, and they couldn't have the unconditional love that Moses has for them, even despite what they do, you know, it's like God's love for us. Because Moses, I guess because he's so close to God, he can have that
Yeah,
love.
he has
you
that
know.
mercy. Yeah,
Right,
that
and
that love and
they're
that
not-
mercy for the people.
They
Whereas,
can't even take a little thing, much
Yeah.
less, you know, what
Well-
they've been doing to Moses, they wouldn't be able to take.
Yeah. And they have no humility as Moses does.
he doesn't. They don't have the humility. I mean, and you can see they don't have the humility.
They're ingrates.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah, in grace perfect.
And I can imagine if they were in charge, when God said, "Okay, I'm fed up with these people. I'm just going to start over with you," they'd say,
Okay.
"Okay,
At least I get the love.
yeah, me and my kind. That's all that matters." I wonder why God didn't put you in charge. You think God's got the right man for the job?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Moses is pleading with him here. Please, just think about what you're doing. Okay? Before it's too late.
Before you get leprosy and die.
Yeah, before you just, please. But no. So he's talking to Korah here. Now, it says in verse 12, and Moses sent to call Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, which said, we will not come up.
Oh,
Oh, buddy.
So basically, he had been talking to Korah. He's like, well, maybe these two I can get, because Korah is not budging. Maybe I can get through to these two. Now, notice again, On is not there.
oh, that's
So I think he just changed his mind. But he says, maybe I can get through to these two. So he calls them to come up to talk to him at the tabernacle. And he says, okay, if I can get through to these two, I can at least save them. So he calls them, and they said, we will not come. Remind you of little obstinate children.
And Korah.
I don't want to. I won't do it.
And Korah's probably said, you better not go.
Yeah. And they said, is it a small thing? They're using Moses' words against him, where Moses just said, is it a small thing that you do? Is it a small thing that thou hast brought us up out of the land that floweth with milk and honey, to kill us in this wilderness, except thou make thyself altogether a prince over us? Drama. Moreover, thou hast not brought us into a land that floweth with milk and honey. He took you to the door, you wouldn't go in. Or given us an inheritance of fields and vineyards. Wilt thou put out the eyes of these men? We will not come up. Oh my goodness.
Oh, man.
Oh my God. Yeah, see, there's where Moses shows his mercy and patience again. Because I'm
yeah.
sorry, if somebody talked to me like that,
Oh, Lord. All right, Lord, you can set them on fire now. It's okay.
yeah,
Right?
I'd be like,
Strike 'em
I'd
down,
just be
Lord.
like, take a step back. Lightning now, Lord. Lightning. You know, I mean, good grief. They're blaming Moses because they didn't get to go in.
Yeah, and they're the ones that chose
And
not.
they're the ones
said
that
they
chose
couldn't
not to. You didn't take us up into the land, and now you just want to be a prince over us and lord yourself over us, and we just won't have it. Oh, good grief. These people never learn.
No.
They don't learn. And Moses in verse 15 was very wroth. Rightly so, go Moses. And he said unto the Lord, respect not their offering. I have not taken one ass from them, neither have I hurt one of them. I haven't done anything to these people. Nothing. But don't take their offering. And Moses said unto Korah, here's your warning. Be thou and all thy company before the Lord, thou and they and Aaron tomorrow. And take every man his censer, and put incense in them, and bring ye before the Lord every man his censer, 250 censers, thou also, and Aaron, and each of you his censer. Okay, everybody's going to bring your incense and your censers. And they took every man his censer, and put fire in them, and laid incense thereon, and stood in the door of the tabernacle of the congregation with Moses and Aaron. The showdown's about to begin.
250 of them. standing
250
there.
of them. And Aaron, because he's the one who's supposed to be doing this. And Korah gathered all the congregation against them unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And the glory of the Lord appeared unto all the congregation. God said, I am watching you. I am watching you. You'd think that would have scared him.
No.
And the Lord, in verse 20, spake unto Moses, and I'm trying to get through. And unto Aaron, saying, separate yourselves from among this congregation, that I may consume them in a moment. There's that lightning you called for, Moses. He says, you get away from them, because I'm just going to I'm gonna wipe them all out.
I'm gonna clean up the group.
And they, Moses and Aaron, fell upon their faces and said, "O God, the God of the spirits of all the flesh, shall one man sin, and wilt thou be wroth with all the congregation?" One man? It was 250. But Korah
Korah's
started
the
it.
key.
He's that key man, and he started this mess, and he got the rest of them riled up. And Moses and Aaron said, "I don't even think the 250 should pay for that." Because they're just following
Well,
what Korah said.
there were two others that were sassy.
Oh yeah, they'll get theirs. Don't worry. But they're like, we don't want the whole congregation to perish just because of a few. You know?
They're way nicer than me.
They're way nicer than me too.
Right,
That's
see
what
ya
I'm saying.
later.
That's what I'm saying. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, "Speak unto the congregation, saying, Get you up from about the tabernacle of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Get away from them." And Moses rose up and went unto Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. And he spake unto the congregation, saying, Depart, I pray you, from the tents of these wicked men, and touch nothing of theirs, lest ye be consumed in all their sins. In other words, if you want to be spared, you get away from these men, and you get away from them now.
And their tents.
You get away from their tents, you get away from their families, you get away from their stuff. Get away from them. Don't have any more to do with them. In other words, you're going to have to make a choice now. Remember way back when they started this? Moses went over and he said, "Who's on the Lord's side? Come stand with me." That's basically what's going on now. He's like, who's on the Lord's side and who's on the side of these three? If you're with these three, you can stay there. If you're with God, you better come with me. What's that old saying from the movies? Come with me if you want to live. You know? So, in verse 27, they gat up from the tabernacle of Korah, Dathan and Abiram on every side. And Dathan and Abiram came out and stood in the door of their tents, and their wives and their sons and their little children. They're just standing there. What are you going to do? Huh?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? I would never ask God, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? That's just stupid.
It's like spitting in the wind.
I mean, they have seen what God can do. That's just...
Satan's in control with their minds at this point.
They are just so far gone. And Moses said, Hereby ye shall know that the Lord hath sent me to do all these works. For I have not done them of my own mind. This is not my decision.
Right.
This is how you're going to know this is not me doing it. This is God. If these men die the common death of all men, like if they die of old age,
Right.
or if they be visited after the visitation of all men, if they die from some kind of illness or something, then the Lord hath not sent me. So these men, if they just die of natural causes, then they just died of natural causes. But, look at verse 30. But if the Lord make a new thing, and the earth open her mouth and swallow them up with all that appertain unto them, and they go down quick into the pit, then ye shall understand that these men have provoked the Lord. Well, where did that come from, Moses?
Yeah.
He's been plotting that for a while.
Bury them in the
If the
in
Lord
ground.
do a new thing, just have the earth open up and swallow them up. Then you'll know that the Lord did this. Guess what? And it came to pass, as he had made an end of speaking, soon as he got those words out of his mouth, that the ground clave asunder that was under them. And the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up, and their houses, and all the men that appertained unto Korah, and all their goods.
All their family.
They
all their
and
children.
all that appertained to them, which is their family, went down alive into the pit, and the earth closed upon them, and they perished from among the congregation. They were buried alive.
Isn't there a place that happened with the tribe of Manassas?
I don't know. I have to look that up. It's very possible.
Yeah.
But you feel sorry in a way for the family.
Oh, of course.
Because then you have to think,
because
okay,
they
did
have to follow their leader.
Yeah, did they choose this?
No.
You know?
But
God knows best. You know?
and the others have to realize if you follow somebody that's going wrong,
That
Not
there's
just you, you're
consequences.
punishing, and you're punishing
Yeah,
your family.
there are
you're punishing-
consequences, and that's the thing. We've got to get through our head when we sin and when we go wrong and when we get pride and envy and all those things in our heart. It's not just hurting us.
right.
It's hurting our family and our friends and our church and our workplace. It's hurting everybody
It's
around us.
far-reaching.
Yes, it is. And it's going to cost other people, not just us. So they perished among the congregation. And I'll read these last couple verses. And all Israel that were round about them fled at the cry of them. Yeah, I guess so. For they said, lest the earth swallow us up also. And there came out a fire from the Lord and consumed the 250 men that offered incense.
Ooh, we took them anyway.
He took them anyway. He said, now, if you'll get away from them, the earth will swallow them up. But those 250 men, he said,
They
know
didn't
what?
take their families.
He didn't take their families, but he took them. He took them. He said, sin has consequences. It has consequences. And going against God's anointed really has consequences. People better watch out when they go up against God's anointed, whether it be a pastor or an evangelist or a missionary or a singer or whatever. You go up against God's anointed, you got a fight on your hand.
You don't need to slander anybody. What? I mean,
I-
even if it's a bad person, we don't need to talk bad about them.
No, I mean we've got enough taking care of our own selves and our own problems, and we shouldn't have time for all that drama. And that's all this was. It was just a whole bunch of drama. And Moses didn't need that.
And we think it's something new.
Yeah. Hey, nothing new.
No.
Way back here, somebody wanting to be somebody else, somebody wanting what somebody else
We
had,
don't
somebody
change much
proud,
over the
somebody.
years.
We don't learn.
We don't learn. We don't learn.
History is doomed to repeat itself.
We
It
allow our
is.
flesh to be ruled by the prince of evil. I mean,
The prince of the power of the air.
what better teacher do we have to learn that lesson than the one that lived in heaven, was one of the angels and got kicked out of heaven? I mean, what do you have to
he
do
wanted
because
to
he
be
wanted to
God.
be God?
Because he wanted
I mean-
to be in charge. Yep.
To get kicked out of heaven. It's pretty bad. So.
Yeah.
And
That's
he's
where
still
it
trying to show
starts.
him that he's
Yep,
better.
Yep.
Yeah. He hasn't learned either.
He's idiot because he knows what he's
And he knows the Bible.
Pride equals foolishness.
It does. It equals foolishness. And nothing good comes from it. Nothing. Nothing good. And we have to stop because it's time to go. But I got through all the verses. Yay.
Wow.
But I wanted
It
to
was
get
so
it all because
interesting.
it's all one big story, But just,
You even made it more interesting. That was awesome.
That was
I think it's interesting. I mean, I'm like, the ground swallowed a
Change
whole.
in
How
speech
cool
was
is
great.
that?
I loved it. It was like listening to a story.
Well, and the fact that
See,
you
she's a
know, you
writer.
read through this, but you don't always catch those little things that match up.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, sometimes we go too fast. Sometimes we gotta
Oh, yeah.
slow down.
We're just getting through.
Yeah, sometimes we gotta slow down. Well, let's pray and we'll be dismissed. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you so much for this day, Lord. Thank you for this lesson. And Lord, I pray that it will be a reminder to us, Lord, and help us to guard against pride and envy and bitterness, Lord, and those things, Lord, that cause us to stray from the path that you've put us on. Lord, I pray that you would help us to be respectful of those in charge, respectful of those, Lord, who are your anointed, and Lord, to try our very best to help them in any way that we can. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your blessings. We thank you for our pastor, Lord, and our pastor's wife, Lord, and the chance to celebrate them today. And we just pray that you'll bless our services. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.